Gruesome sports injuries that traumatized fans. Part 1. A Louisville basketball player named Kevin Ware was trying to block a shot when he landed awkwardly on his right leg, completely snapping his shin in half, exposing bone and making his foot dangle, only connected by skin and tissue. During a soccer match in 2009, Anthony Van Loo died on the field. He had a pre-existing heart condition that killed him mid-game, but fortunately he had a defibrillator attached, which shocked him back to life a few moments later. During a 2017 NBA basketball game, Celtics player Gordon Hayward landed wrong after trying to catch an alley-oop, spraining his left ankle so bad that it pointed in the opposite direction. In March of 1989, the Buffalo Sabres were facing off against the St. Louis Blues. The goalie, Clint Malachuk, was fighting a puck out of the corner when a player on the opposing team flipped over, sending their ice skate through the air and slicing Clint's jugular vein wide open. Here are some facts that you probably didn't know that one day could save your life. Part 17. If you see vultures circling above you, chances are there's a predator nearby and it's about to make a kill. Grapefruits can actually mess with prescription medication, and the most common of these is birth control. So stay away, because trust me, you do not have the time for a grapefruit baby. If a canker sore in your mouth or tongue isn't going away after 2 weeks, you might want to get it checked out because it very well could be oral cancer. Never use bleach to clean cat piss. The combination creates chlorine gas and it is very toxic. If you're wearing jeans, do not walk with your hands in your pockets. The ground feels a lot harder on your face when you don't have your hands to brace your fall. The human jaw combined with natural adrenaline is powerful enough to sever another human's jugular vein. Horrifying, but effective.
Explaining the backstory to viral videos.
Cannot be that bad.
Honey, don't you love me and you know it makes me sad.
If you've seen enough of my videos, you probably think you know what's in that suitcase, but you're wrong. In May of 2004, several pieces of luggage washed up on a shore in Virginia, each case containing the body parts of an unidentified person. Immediately, an investigation was launched and a facial reconstruction of the body led to Melanie McGuire. Melanie, who was having an affair with her boss, had purchased a gun and shot her husband Bill multiple times. She then dismembered his body, packed it into 3 separate suitcases, and dumped them into Chesapeake Bay. And on July 19, 2007, at the age of 34, Melanie McGuire was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. Normal-looking photos that have a disturbing backstory. Part 26. While this photo looks like it's some prop from Halloween, it's an actual living 2-headed dog that was created in 1959 by a mad Soviet scientist. He managed to create a 2-headed dog that could smell, move, see, hear, and even bark. While this appears to be an ordinary doll, it belongs to a Russian scholar, Anatoly Moskvin, who was arrested in 2011 for having the mummified remains of young girls in his apartment. Police found 26 of these dolls in his home. On Christmas Day in 1929, Charlie Lawson would murder his wife, 6 of his 7 children, and take his own life. This photo shows a nice, large family vacationing in Sweden in the 70s. The kid in the brown shirt, however, is a 14-year-old boy named Osama. Years later, Osama bin Laden founded the pan-Islamic militant group Al-Qaeda and was responsible for the 9/11 attacks. Shocking war facts that school definitely didn't teach you. Part 8. After the Mexican victory at the Alamo, General Santa Anna felt invincible. So much so that he allowed his soldiers to take a midday siesta. And that's when a single rank of the Texan army snuck up and defeated the entire Mexican army in 18 minutes. In 1944, when Queen Elizabeth was 18, she was a driver and automobile engine mechanic in an attempt to support the British war effort. During World War II, Japan built a battleship that was 862 feet long. It was so big in fact that when it was launched, it sent a 4-foot tidal wave that flooded Nagasaki. A Viking chief defeated an Italian city by pretending to convert to Christianity and die. Before his fake death, he requested that he be given a Christian burial in the city, so they let him in. Once the funeral procession was in, he popped out of his coffin and attacked the city from inside. Weirdest world records that will make your skin crawl. Part 6. Zion Clark was born without legs because of a rare genetic condition and dreams of becoming a multi-time Olympic champion. He recently achieved the record for the fastest man on his hands in the world. Measured at a length of 24 feet, Ayanna Williams has the female record for the longest fingernails on a pair of hands. This video shows 20-year-old Karubal Yilma from Ethiopia performing a unique talent as he attempts to achieve the record for the longest time to spray water from his mouth. He achieved the record spraying water for 56 seconds straight. This clip shows Sultan Kosin from Turkey and Chandra Dongi from Nepal, meeting for the first time in 2014. At the time, Sultan was the tallest man in the world, measuring a staggering 8 feet 2 inches, whereas Chandra was the shortest, measuring just 21.5 inches tall. New things and shit. A woman was recently grocery shopping in Oklahoma when she grabbed a bag of Tostino's pizza rolls that felt particularly mushy. As it turns out, someone had pooped in the freezer on top of a bag of pizza rolls before covering it up with another bag. An Ontario grandmother who bought an educational toy for her 15-month-old granddaughter was shocked when the cactus started singing a Polish song about depression and doing drugs. Walmart has since pulled the toy from shelves and the cactus is in rehab. In other news, conservatives have banned Big Bird, Elmo, and Bert and Ernie from the 2022 Republican conference after Big Bird tweeted about recently receiving his COVID vaccination. Apparently, this ruffled the feathers of Senator Ted Cruz, who called the Bird's vaccination propaganda. Astronauts from the International Space Station will return to Earth swaddled in diapers as the toilet in their space capsule broke. A German inventor's unique birth control device for men took the top prize at the James Dyson Awards. It uses an ultrasound testicle bath to temporarily stop sperm mobility and only needs to be used every few months to prevent pregnancy. If this thing passes clinical trials, whew, that would be nuts. Dirty facts about history that school probably didn't teach you, Part 13. In ancient Egypt, there was a parasite in Egyptian rivers that would cause horrifying pee-pee bleeding, and this was considered a rite of passage for boys entering into manhood. Catherine the Great had a room filled with erotic furniture that she commissioned personally. We're talking BJs carved into chairs, an end table with giant peepees holding up a marble countertop, and other unspeakable things that I cannot say on TikTok. Needless to say, homegirl had taste. 12-year-old Pocahontas used to entertain white colonists with nude cartwheels. In 1694, Admiral Edward Russell threw an 8-day-long bender with the world's largest cocktail and over 6,000 guests. He poured hundreds of gallons of liquor into an enormous fountain and hired men to paddle around in boats, scoop it up, and serve it to the guests. And 8 days later, the fountain was completely dry. The Slender Man stabbing.
Please don't cut off my head. This sort of just happened. I've been trying to block out the screams all day.
The girl in this video is 12-year-old Morgan Geyser, and in May 2014, her and Anissa Weir lured their friend into a forest to play a game of hide-and-seek. Anissa and Morgan pinned their friend Peyton Lutner to the ground and stabbed her 19 times, leaving her for death, all in the name of Slender Man. Peyton dragged herself to a nearby road until she was spotted by a man on a bike.
She says to you what?
Could you help me, please? I've been stabbed multiple times.
And was rushed to the hospital immediately. Luckily, she survived the brutal stabbing and was released from the hospital just a week later. While Anissa was empathetic and sorry for what the girls had done, Morgan showed no remorse. The two 12-year-olds were found not guilty due to mental disease and were committed to mental institutions for 25 and 40 years respectively. And that's the story of new things and shit. A woman on a recent Delta Airlines flight surprised fellow passengers when she began breastfeeding her hairless cat mid-flight. A marijuana shop in Massachusetts just broke the world record for the largest pot brownie, cooking a ginormous 850-pound THC dessert. And judging by the look on these people's faces, that brownie is not the only thing that's baked. Someone just paid $7,753 for school papers graded by Elon Musk himself. And as it turns out, he was a pretty tough grader. New York firefighters have recently rescued a completely naked man who was trapped inside of a theater's bathroom wall. 23-year-old Koshan Dion Baker was just registered as a sex offender and is required to stay 100 yards from all barns and stables. Turns out he'd been sneaking into a local equestrian center and making love to the horses without their consent. the Cheeto Dust Killer. February 9th, 2006. A witness watches a man in Taylorsville, Utah hold a bottle of Coke and a bag of Cheetos as he talks to 29-year-old Sonia Medja outside of her apartment. Suddenly, the man smacks Sonia hard on the head and forces both of them into the apartment. When Sonia's husband comes home, he finds the man's food outside the door. Inside the apartment, he finds Sonia stripped nude and strangled to death on the bed, and her body covered in Cheeto dust. Let's fast forward to February 9th, the same day, but a year later and only a mile away from the previous crime. An unknown man breaks into the apartment of Damiana Castillo and smothers her with a pillow. The investigators compared the two crimes and matched the DNA to the same man. Unfortunately, the judge has sealed the case, so the verdict is unknown. But what we do know is that police found the man who we call
Spread your wings and fly, go!